I am your host, Mr. Nate. Today we're covering the first book launched in the Mr. Nate children's book collection entitled Daddy Donut Day, A Day We Shout Hooray. This is a personal book. I think they're all personal, but really this is personal. This is something that comes directly from our life. It's not just a book about maybe a Bible topic or a life topic or something that we might share with our kids, maybe a life principle. This is a book that actually captures what we actually do as a family. It's in some ways biographical, autobiographical, and a fun children's book. And this is literally a book that captures something that we started with our first kid when she was 1 year old. And we just determined since then, as the Lord would will, that whatever we can do is to try to take a time period of the week where me as the dad could spend just a really concentrated amount of time with our kids, whether we would have one kid or many kids, whether they were biological kids, we gave birth to them, or we would foster or adopt. But either way, I would be able to spend time, however time I would have left on this earth. And there was also a time when I was in graduate school, a seminary for pastors. It was a seminary that it's a well-known seminary, Dallas Theological Seminary, and you don't normally get a three and a half year MDiv there. You get a 4-year THM, and so it takes a lot longer. Not a lot longer, but it takes longer time, so it could take 4 years to finish or more. So we had our first kid within our first year of marriage and our first year of starting seminary, graduate school. And we really wanted to make sure that as we entered not just graduate school or married life, but just being a Christian pastor also, that sometimes you can really become imbalanced on your time. Family can get stretched. A relationship with the spouse. So for me, my wife and I, or if it was from my wife's perspective, from her husband and her, it could get stretched. Time, money, relationships, friendships. It could be good stretching. It could be bad stretching. So we just decided from the very get-go that we would really try our best to find a time in the week where I don't study, I'm not working separately, beyond the house, beyond the apartment, beyond wherever we were at, but that we would spend time with our kids. And so the other thing is, if we wanted to do something repeatedly, that kind of affects the budget a little bit. So if we do something every week, how many weeks are in a year? 52. And then you kind of, if you spend money to that, that's okay. Am I spending $5, $10? Is inflation going to hit? Are we paying $50? So we're budgeting, and at that point, we're living off of not a great income at this point. But so we decided, well, what about donuts and coffee? I love coffee, and donuts are kind of easy. Just maybe go to a donut shop and. A lot of people do that anyways on a Saturday morning, sometimes a Sunday morning. But for us, our Sundays are committed to gathering with our local church. So Monday through Friday, that's kind of the work week generally. We're going over to people's houses or apartments. We're getting to know them or neighbors. And, it's just kind of up and down. So Saturday morning really became a day to say, hey, we're not going to do anything else. It's going to be just us as a family. We're going to go get donuts. We're going to eat in the donut shop or around there, or we're going to go to my favorite coffee shop. So we got donuts. There was a great little donut place where we were at in the DFW Metroplex and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So when we got donuts there, just down a couple stores was my favorite my favorite coffee shop. And so we decided, hey, let's just do this for now. Let's just do this. So she's one. She doesn't really know what's going on. It's just me being able to be with her. So we start off with little donut holes, kind of ripping it up, and she's kind of gumming it. Not, her teeth are in, but it's just, if you've been around babies, we're not having these deep conversations about life. It's just my presence and her presence together. And so after that, we would read books. I would just read a book to her. We'd kind of play with some toys, and we'd come back and we'd hang out with my wife. And then every time we'd have a kid after that, we just continued that. So whenever the next kid would turn 1, we would include that kid. And so we have several kids. It's a little harder now to go to a donut shop. We get it to go more so when we come back to our home. But we really wanted to focus not necessarily on our relationship as me as a dad to them, but overall, what's the point of this life? I wanted to focus their relationship with their greatest creator, God, that they would recognize that He is their Father. Truly, He is more important than even me. And even if I die, at that moment in time or a little bit later, we don't live by a trust in this life that I am going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be, just kind of a rhythmic day. I don't live that way. I'm going to plan. I can certainly plan. But I don't want to put my children's hopes in me or my wife. We are too fickle for that. And I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean that, like what the Bible mentions, is that the grass withers and the flower falls off, that our time is short. No matter if I live till 80 or 100, it's still short. If I die today, my life is short. It's short, no matter what age I am. And so in this short life, I wanted to ensure that they would grow up remembering, trusting in the greatest truths to live by. Even as a kid to their older age, if the Lord would will, they would live to their older age. And so I just started calling it Daddy Donut Day. And as the days and the weeks kind of went on, we would just kind of adjust and change and do this or that. And, we experienced different donut shops. And, sometimes maybe we're on a vacation. We didn't do too much vacationing during those years. But, we didn't try to make it just some religious have-to thing. It's more of I want to do this and let's go have some fun. And then kind of, fast forward some years and some children, we get to this point where we move back to my hometown region, and we have a lot more kids, and we're sitting around one day, and we're just talking about Daddy Donut Day. It's not, to us, it's not a thing. It's not a book. It wasn't a book. It's not a song. It wasn't any of that. It was just time together where we're going to read the Bible, we read other books, and we're going to play. We're going to hang out, we're going to do whatever, So as we're sitting around, we start kind of putting some words together. And next thing you know, as we're describing Daddy Donut Day, just talking together, it sounds like these words are a song. And so it's not, it's not a big song. It's not a long song. And I am certainly not a singer. I am not somebody who is talented in that realm. I'm not musical at all. But it was just more of a rhyme that we came up with. And so when we did that, this was some years back, I wasn't thinking about writing a book about it. It was just fun for us So when we'd go get donuts, we literally would sing the song in the car. It's just like a 30-second song, and just, oh, hey, it's Saturday and it's Daddy Donut Day. We're going to go. We might sing it on our way to the car. We might sing it as we're getting out of the car, or as we describe it to others. We can all kind of break out into the Daddy Donut Day song. But for us, it was family. It's something we do, and we still do today. And as we read the Bible, almost every Saturday, sometimes we've taken breaks, but almost every Saturday we're going through books of the Bible from the first book, Genesis, until we read it to the end. And so we started with kids' Bibles, with a lot more pictures. I kind of like those. And then now we've advanced to more of the non-picture Bibles, more of the adult versions. But we got to this song. And here's the rhyme. Here's the lyrics. We be rolling on a Saturday because it's Daddy Donut Day. We read the Bible, books, and play. And when we eat a donut, we say, Hooray. And man, we will enjoy that, singing that out loud. We will have a great time. We be rolling on a Saturday. Yeah, they just start going because it's Daddy Donut Day. We read the Bible, books, and play. And when we eat a donut, we say, Hooray! And man, my kids will just shout it out. It is so fun. Fast forward some years, and we start to see a dream, of kind of a vision of just what we'd like to see happen in the years to come, unfold, of authoring books, children's books and other books. And it's kind of part of a bigger, deeper plan that we are working in the Christian church world, but it has to do with the Elijah series. And as we were writing these books, Daddy Donut Day really came to mind as, I think this should be the first book because it comes from our life. And it could go into your lives. It could go into a lot of people's different lives, whether they do Daddy Donut Day already or maybe they would want to. It's a book that could be used for all different reasons. But as we were able to put this book together, these illustrations are hilarious to us. We giggle and laugh. When you open it up, you get to a couple pages in. Not everyone likes donuts. We there's a lot of times where we will share with people that, hey, we love to eat donuts, and they look at us like we're just some unhealthy, non-organic. We hate the universe and health, and we're just gonna die in our our biological issues of health. And they'll just be like, we don't like donuts. It needs to be healthy. It's like, okay. You can still have a healthy diet and every once in a while enjoy a donut. There's also some healthy donuts out there if you want to try those. Some of those kind of taste gross. But we go to the next page. Not all donuts are healthy. And the illustration describes that. It's like a rock hard cement donut on bricks with screws and bolts and nuts all through it. Who's going to eat that donut? I don't. I'm not going to. And then next page, not all donuts are tasty. You got a cup of coffee with donuts that look like tires. I don't want to eat a tire, And you go to the next one. Not all donuts are fresh. This next one, it's growing. It's growing like fungus and insects are on it. It's growing mushrooms. It's sat out for years. It's dissolving bacterially. But it gets into the core of, we're going to spend time together and we like donuts, but there's something more important to the donuts. And what's fun is, each time you flip the page, you get into a different adventure, and I love that. And that kind of captures what we go through is in life. We go through different adventures. And If you can, not all families can, but there's a family venture that this book is described. It's a family adventure with fun, singing, and imagination, with everyone shouting, "Hooray!" There's just many people in our past and in our present that had just talked about their time in life. Kind of talking, as a person with like gray hair. Just a lot of experience, good or bad. You hear them, you listen to them. They might have been a Christian pastor. They might have been somebody in a church for a long time. They might not have been a Christian. They just might have been somebody who just shares of their life. And you kind of get a theme where they will say, "I wish I spent more time with my kids." Sometimes you can't. Sometimes there's just emergencies. Sometimes there's just heavy things in society that weigh down, and it's difficult. And you just got to endure. We don't live in this world and think that everything is perfect. I just was going through a recent series about the 18th President of the United States, Ulysses S. Grant. I am related to him. He is 5 generations removed, my great uncle. So 5 generations ago, he's my uncle. I'll share that later on in another podcast. But as I have gotten to know more about him through biographies and the History Channel's current 2020 series on him, you get to know of his poverty. You get to know what he endured. Where when he was married, he didn't get to see his kids for 2 years because he was in the military. And I have a lot of military friends. Whether it was during the recent wars and battles overseas, or before, or now, you still have, hey, these people, my friend, they can't come back until a year has passed, or a year and a half, or whatever the mission was. Sometimes they can't share where they're going. Sometimes you're in just an emergency situation and you can't coordinate your life. But you know what? When you can, you express, hey, I think I'd rather spend more time with my kids than at my work. Maybe I'll spend a little bit less time at work, at my office. Even Christian ministry can suck the life out of families, even Christian pastors' families. I grew up as a pastor's kid. It's difficult to say no and to have boundaries, and it's necessary. We are not to live as God in people's lives, and so it's okay to say no, but it's difficult. It's difficult to go about this life and spend time with your own family, because sometimes it feels, is this a waste of time? Should we be doing something else? Should we, there's just doubts and uncertainty, and next thing you know, you're not doing anything. Spend an hour with them, and then let that build for a couple hours and more. Let it be purposeful, intentional. Read the Bible together. Read a kid's book together. Read a different book together. Go to a playground. Train them into a life skill. Let them do work around the house, or clean the apartment or the flat. Whatever you do, make it a time, make it a day even, to be with one another. That they would grow up and they'd remember maybe Daddy Donut Day. A day we shout hooray. Is it just because the donuts are going to shout hooray? No. All that stuff will fall away. It'll come and go. They'll remember you and what you left them. And ultimately, hopefully, you've left them with a greater, valuable thing in this life, which is the one who created it, God Himself. What a beautiful truth. But Daddy Donut Day. Man, take a bite and enjoy the time with the kiddos or the grandkids. Let it be a time where you all shout hooray and you get excited. Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Nate Books podcast, hearing about Daddy Donut Day, a day we shout hooray. I look forward to the next time we get together. You can subscribe to the podcast platform that you're on currently listening through, whether that might be YouTube even, or Rumble, or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, or others. Hey, click subscribe if you're not subscribed. Every time you do that, you get notified of a podcast to come, and it shares with others. It starts to populate the algorithms, the mathematics behind all that software. It starts to appear to others so they can share in the podcast. And if they like it, it continues. And beyond the Daddy Donut Day, a day we shout hooray, there's more children's books and education books at MrNateBooks.com. MrNateBooks.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to spending the next time with you all. And until then, Mr. Nate out.